Welcome, children. Welcome to the next part. Have you forgotten? Don't you know? We will say it very loud and slow. They used to read, they had read and read and read and read and then proceed to read some great Scott Gadzooks. One half their living was reading books. Up till now, the poet was speaking in a raised voice. Now we have come to the second stage. In the second stage, he is trying to give advice. Have you forgotten? We used to do like this, we used to do like that, all these things. So he says, don't you know? Have you forgotten? If you're free, what we used to do when we were free? Everybody used to read books. Now the poet is very firm and he wants the people to know, the parents to know, to realize that have they forgotten what they used to do? They used to read more and more books. Reading was the only activity, major activity in those days. In these lines, the poet says that before the coming of television, children would read, and if they don't do now, it's really a great mistake they are doing. The poet here asks two questions and then he answers them loudly and also slowly to have a proper effect. We also find that there's a use of capital letters and repetition of the word read 6 times and 3 exclamations are there. So in this way, he wants to forcefully make us feel, make the parents feel that reading is the best activity, best alternative. He says, Great Scotch. This exclamation of surprise. Gadzooks. Actually, that also is an expression of surprise. Maybe God's hooks. This might have been taken as mild oath, you can say. The nursery shelves held books galore. Galore means in great quantity, large in number, abundance. Books cluttered up the nursery floor. And in the bedroom, by the bed, more books were waiting to be read. These rooms were scattered with more children's books. In bedrooms, near the bed, lot of storybooks were available for the children to read in those days. In these lines, the poet, he is also trying to tell us the alternative. He says that the children's room, bedrooms, all were full of books. That is what we also have to do these days. Out of these 4 lines which we read now, 3 lines end with exclamations, which mean to shake the mind of the reader. Tell them, books cluttered up the nursery floor. That is, generally where children are there in the house, you'll find that the room is not tidy. Things are thrown here and there, cluttered. And there are things which are filled in an untidy way. Such wondrous, fine, fantastic tales of dragons, gypsies, queens, and whales, and treasure isles and distant shores, where smugglers rode with muffled oars, and pirates wearing purple pants, and sailing ships, and elephants, and cannibals crouching round the pot, stirring away at something hot. It smells so good. What can it be? Good gracious, it's Penelope. There are wonderful stories of dragons, gypsies, queens, whales, about various topics you find storybooks. These were the stories which children used to read. There were also stories about treasure islands, faraway places, smugglers, rowing boat noiselessly, sea robbers sailing ships, sea robbers means pirates. Also stories of elephants, cannibals. Cannibals are people who eat the flesh of human beings. Stirring around, stirring a pot, and they found the smell so good. Wondered what it could be. He remembers that it is from Penelope's recipe books. It's actually a food item. So, in this way, by reminding the parents of what they themselves read and enjoyed when they were children, the poet tries to convince them of the power of stories to entertain children in the absence of television. He talks about gypsies, who are a group of people in Europe who maintained a nomadic life. They move from one place to other. And muffled oars, he says. Muffled means to cover something so that the sound is not heard clearly. Then oars means they are actually poles with flat blades. And they can be used to row the boat through the water. And we have crouching bird is there again, which means lowering the body close to the ground by bending the legs. In this way, various stories, what they had read, he's trying to recollect all that. The young ones had Beatrix Potter with Mr. Todd, the dirty rotter, and Squirrel Nutkin, Pigling Bland, and Mrs. Tiggy Winkle, and just how the camel got his hump, how the monkey lost his rump, and Mr. Toad, bless my soul, there's Mr. Rat and Mr. Mole. Oh, books, what books they used to know, those children living long ago. The young children in those days, they had books which were written by Beatrix Potter, a famous, you can say, a famous writer, famous authoress of children's books, who has created animal characters like Mr. Todd, Squirrel Nutkin, Pigling Ban, Tiggy Winkle in her stories for children. Again, how the camel got his hump. Hump is actually, at the back of the camel, you find one fleshy, raised part will be there. No? That is the hump. How did it get it? That's a story. A round mass, fleshy structure at the back of the camel or a cattle also you find that. And how the monkey lost his rump is also a story by Rudyard Kipling. Rump is the hind part of the body of the mammal, the buttocks you can say. So in this way, the various characters, different stories, what they read in those days, all that is mentioned here. So we have seen the raised voice of the poet, and then we come to see the advice given. And now we come to the last part of the poem, from line 73 onwards. I think there are roughly some 94 lines in the form of sentences, you can say. Line 94 long sentences are there. So here, the last part, and he says, now the speaker has almost come to knees. He's praying them, please do like this, please do like that. That's good for you, for your children. So he says, so please, oh please, we beg, we pray, go throw your TV set away. And in its place, you can install a lovely bookshelf on the wall. Then fill the shelves with lots of books, ignoring all the dirty looks, the screams and yells and the bites and kicks, and children hitting you with sticks. Now, uh, I think we should just go through what small questions we can see in the previous part, just we have finished now. I just forgot to remind you about it. Here, they used to. Here, they refers to the children. Children, they refers to the children before the invention of television. They were all the time busy with the books. How much time you think the children spend with the books in those days? Half the time of their lives in reading books. As I told you, just check for yourself. You don't touch a mobile. Okay, these days there's it's become inevitable for you. Without mobile, it's not possible at all because all the lessons you have to see and you need to use a mobile. Otherwise, apart from that, don't touch the mobile, TV, computer, and just see how much time you have and how you can spend your time in a better way. In those days, all families had their own nursery bookshelves and a good collection of storybooks. There were books everywhere in the study room, even when lying on the bed or floor, everywhere they used to read a lot. Actually, he has used the word Great Scott, Gadzooks. These are two exclamations in exclamatory expressions in English. Great Scott is an old-fashioned expression used for great surprise, to express surprise. And Gadzook is used for a mild oath. Why this poet, we find that he has put capital letters in the three lines as we started the class today, the beginning. Many exclamation marks here and there. Why? He wants to focus on the habit of the children of the past with regarding to the reading. It may be a big question mark to the parents that how children used to pass the time in the past. He wants to tell them that reading books was the main source of entertainment in the past for the young as well as the old. And there were different types of books. There are stories of adventure, many interesting characters, gypsies, queens, different animals, dragons, whales, elephants, treasure isles, distant shores. All these stories written based on these topics were about the islands or the part of the world which was yet to be discovered. This is about these kind of stories are about they are adventure stories about group of people go in search for treasure hunt. Those who go for adventure trips, and as I told you, the pirates. Pirates are sea robbers. Uh, they generally wait for ships to come with rich cargo in the middle of the sea, and they rob them of their all the valuables. And we find many stories of that kind. So we also have heard about cannibals, who are people who ate human flesh. Their actions are very horrifying. They cook sweet smelling dish made up of human flesh. All these things we have seen. And we find rhymes, alliteration, pirates wearing purple pants, PPP is there, you see. Cannibals crouching. The younger ones had Beatrix Potter. Younger ones refers to the children. And we have Mr. Todd and small other stories which are mentioned here. We'll see about it. We have already seen. We need not go detail about it. And here, uh, the poem is expressed in a very light and amusing and entertaining way. The poet doesn't want to express that he's something preaching kind. No, he's not preaching. He wants to keep it everything in a very light way. So that's why he speaks about it in such a tone. So as we come back, so please, oh please, we beg, we pray. The poet is asking the parents to throw away the TV sets and replace it with bookshelves on the walls and fill them with lot of books. He advises the parents to ignore the dirty looks when we are uninstalling the TV, when we're switching off the TV. The children, they get, you'll find all dirty looks, expressions on their faces. And what do? They scream, they yell, they bite, kicking, and all the attempts they do, all the things they do, they scream, they shout, all the things possible they do because they are not happy. So they behave like that. So The poet makes an earnest appeal to the parents to throw away the television set and replace it with a bookshelf, ignoring all the objections made by the children. And then the poet concludes that telling the parents to accept his advice of getting rid of the television and trying to convince the parents. He also expects the children to disapprove his decision. He also gives us the details how uh, what will be the reaction of the children. Even if they react like that, the parents have to be firm. No change in the decision. Fear not, because we promise you that in about a week or two of having nothing else to do, they will now begin to feel a need of having something to read. The poet advises the parents not to fear about anything, about the reaction of the children. When they don't have anything to do, within 1 week, they'll simply sit quietly, or they may play, they may cry, they may shout. How many days will they do? After 1 week, the children will understand the things and they will start reading. The poet feels that sooner or later the children will turn to reading books to pass their time. And when there is no TV, nothing else to do, children will need something for entertainment. And then they will come and grab the book and start reading the book. He's sure about it. And so, in this way, the poet asks the parents to throw the television away and bring bookshelves and fill them with books. What difficulty, what will be the difficulty in doing such a task? Parents will face objections from children in the form of dirty looks, screams, yelling, biting, kicking, and even hitting with sticks. All these things will be seen. But be firm, he tells the parents. In such a case, the poet says how he suggests the parents to face such a situation. He says that you be firm. You just decide to throw the TV and bring good books. You should ignore all their objections and obstructions which come on their way. It may be difficult for the parents to do such things because surely the children will object a lot. But the parents are advised just to wait. And the poet says the children will soon start reading the books because having nothing to do, so they will be absorbed in reading books. The poet says, fear not, because he's sure of the success of their effort. He said, don't worry. The poet hopes a positive change in the attitude of the children within a few days, due to which they will start reading the books because they don't have anything else to do. And he thinks that it's only wishing, thinking. The wishful thinking, he says, not wishing and thinking, the wishful thinking. As children enjoyed TV so much, they will not be ready to read the books so easily. So you have to give them a little time to do that. And once they start, oh boy, you watch the slowly growing joy that fills their hearts. They will grow so keen, they will wonder what they had never ever seen in that ridiculous machine, that nauseating, foul, unclean, repulsive television screen. And later, each and every kid will love you more for what you did, he says. The parents can watch how there is a change in the children, the slow development of happiness that fills the children's heart. They How they get accustomed to reading, how they become interested in reading. One day, surely you'll find they'll wonder what they have seen on the TV was not so good to see. It was unclean, evil, and afterwards, each child will express their gratitude for encouraging them to read books. In these lines, Dal says that the children will not be able to stop reading the books. Once they have started, they will wonder how things which they come to know in the books are never shown on the television screen. The children at the end will thank the parents for introducing them with these good books. They themselves will understand the joy of reading and they will soon gain interest. These books will make their own place in the hearts of the children and they'll become fond of reading. That will be the day when they will realize that they had been wasting a lot of their precious time in watching television. They will understand the worth of the books and also how worthless watching the television was all these years. So when he says, you watch the slowly growing joy, you refers to the parents. Parents can watch how the children start reading the books. The children will realize what fantastic joy lies within the pages of books. They'll become fond of reading books. The children will wonder because they will discover that the books have provided them with greater joy than the television could give them. Then they will feel that television is a ridiculous machine. It is nauseating, foul, unclean, repulsive. These are the words used to describe television. You can also make a list of words which are used to describe television. In this way, they would create a psychological aversion, strong dislike for television. If the parents throw the TV set away, then the children will be angry and they'll protest very violently. But after a few days, when they start reading books, they'll discover the whole new world of fantasy, imagination, different characters, adventures will amaze them so much. So they will want to read more and more books. Their initial anger will change into greater love for the parents. And they'll realize that whatever was done was for their betterment. Now, the poet has taken the role of an activist, and he is determined to achieve his goal by pushing his arguments with the use of strong words and examples. The readers are emotionally engaged to the poem. The message will be accepted slowly by the readers. The poem moves slowly. The poet uses a strong, uh, he appeals in a strong and emotional way. He has faith in the magic of books. He has a strong belief that television is harmful for children. His genuine concern for the children is seen. The earnestness of his appeal all make it more effective. And in this way, we find that this poem, which seems to be so simple, gives such a strong message to all of us. And if you see the theme of the poem, we find that basically three things are highlighted. Firstly, the television is said to be an idiot box, and when we view the television for a longer time, we become inactive, and our brain becomes slower and more strained. That's what he's trying to express. The other thing is he wants the children to develop the habit of reading. Reading habit should be inculcated in children. He says it is the duty of the parents to inculcate the habit of reading in the children. They should introduce to wonderful book of world, wonderful world of books that will widen their thinking capacity, their minds, will strengthen their imagination. And the other one, third one, is death of imagination. He tells that if the children watch more television, their imagination would suffer and they cannot see, they cannot visualize whatever they read. He wants that their imagination, anybody's imagination would construct a better world for a better mind. Imagination is necessary. All this thing can happen only when children read the books. Thank you, children.